What's up, guys? It is the MMA Killshot podcast from DFS Army. I am Sniper along with Monk. We're going to talk UFC Vegas 79. Our main event is a good one. I think it's still underrated. Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot. We got, I think, 6 or 7 absolute bangers on this card. We're going to talk about DraftKings. We're going to talk about betting. We're going to break it all down for you guys. Like I said, I'm really excited for this card. I'm also probably a little bit excited that this is the last card in the string of like fucking 20 cards in a row. I'm Monk. It's been great doing podcasts with you. Need a break, my man. This run has been nutty, but good card to cap it off.
Yeah, I completely agree. The main event is freaking phenomenal. There's also a few other great fights I'm looking forward to that you mentioned, but yeah, almost looking forward to the break maybe a little bit more. I mean, I'm going to be missing fights. Don't get me wrong. Next Saturday, I will be missing fights, but man, it's going to be nice to have that week off before that.
I think 1 week everyone will be okay. I think.
Yeah. Well, I originally thought this streak was 12. Like when we were at 7, I thought it was like 12. And then it just kept going and going. And I'm thinking this is many more than 12. It turns out it's 17. Holy crap.
Yeah. It was nutty. It's fun though. Some ups, some downs.
That's true.
Before we get into the breakdown though, guys, hit that like button for us. Hit the subscribe to the channel to get all your daily fantasy prize props package stuff. And of course, listen to us on a weekly basis talking MMA, all the good stuff there, all the discounts, links, all that good shit in the description. But most importantly, hit the like button, share this podcast, because I'll probably say some funny shit. We're getting a fight with Monk at some point.
I mean, Hannah Goldy's on this card and Jake Collier, so it's bound to happen.
Great segue into the main event. We don't honey dick anyone. We get right to it. Rafael Fiziev, he's a minus 155 favorite. Take it on Mateusz Gamrot, plus 135. Fiziev is 8,500 on DraftKings. Gamrot is 7,700. Breakdown for this fight, at least for me, it's really interesting in that Fiziev is going to be the bit. We're going to say there's a bunch on this card. There's going to be a little bit of repetition. I get to say striker versus grappler a fuck ton on this card. It happens quite a bit. Fiziev, we all know he was the Tiger Muay Thai kickboxing coach for a while, or Muay Thai coach. Great striker, not a ton of volume, but on the feet, he's going to pick Gamrot apart for every minute this is on the feet or at range. He has got really good power. We saw the spinning wheel kick knockout of Brad Riddell. He, put away RDA, no easy thing to do. Was in the war with Gaethje, like a fun fight, good, great stand-up striker, has shown really good takedown defense, but Gamrot has the best takedown defense of anyone that he has faced. Gamrot is a pressure wrestler. He's going to, and not even just a wrestler, he's going to keep moving forward. He's going to keep an incredible pace up. He's only lost to guys who happen to be a better grappler than him. That would be Sarukian and Beneil Dariush. No, not
no, he beat Sarukian.
He beat Sarukian. Yeah. I remember, I think I scored that fight for Sarukian. I think I rewatched it and I was more kind of a toss up, very similar to our main event last week with Shevchenko Grasso. Like that we won't go into that, but that's a fight that could have gone either way. And that was true with Gamrot and Sarukian. But that's who he struggles against. Beneil Dariush actually put him away on the feet with a knock, knocked him down in that fight. Not a lot of controlled time, even though Gamrot had 4 takedowns. What it's going to come down to is can Gamrot get Fiziev down and keep him there? And I've gone back and forth on this fight a couple times. I think in the end, Fiziev also slows down a little bit as fights go on, and just that constant pace and pressure. It's something I like to pick with. If you're going to be able to wear a guy down, not that he doesn't slow down a little bit because he pushes such an insane pace. Just the pace, the moving forward on Fiziev, I think is going to get to him. I think he'll have some top control time because, like I said, Fiziev has had good takedown defense numbers wise. This is the best wrestler he's faced, period. Going to go for more of him, then get worn down. So the pick for me is Mateusz Gamrot. I he cannot be reckless coming in, or Fiziev can put him away. And if he can't get a takedown, and I'm wrong about that, Fiziev will beat him up on the feet. But in terms of what I think is going to happen, I lean towards Gamrot. I think there's a little bit of value in that play. If you want to bet it, I'm undecided if I'm pulling the trigger on the straight bet. DraftKings, stack it up in cash games. I think it's fine. It's about a pick 'em to end inside the distance. And for GPPs, I actually lean towards the Gamrot side even more heavily because he's going to wrestle. And if Fiziev wins, he's probably going to piece him up on the feet. Maybe if he doesn't put him away, even in 5 rounds, the striking pace is not enough to score well. So there's more paths to victory, the more paths to the optimal lineup for Gamrot. Monk, what's your take on the main event?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I'm going to be on the Gamrot side here at 7,700. Fiziev for DraftKings just does not score well. And I say that about a bunch of people, but this guy is not even averaging 80 points, 79.3 per win. Yes, he finished RDA. He scored 86, and that's on the high end. He finished Brad Riddell, as you mentioned, scored 71 points. Beat Bobby finish. Green, scored 71 points as well. And yeah, he's right in that salary range that he's been in, about 8,500 or so. The 80 points is killing me. The 90% takedown defense is very good, but that is going to be put to the ultimate test against Gamrot, who lands 4.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he has a 91% takedown defense, controls 88% of all grappling time he's involved in. When Fiziev wins, here's the big one. Less than 9x is what he is averaging as far as value goes. So definitely the GPP play here for me is Gamrot. I guess I don't mind a stack, but only because it's 5 rounds. If this was a 3-round fight, I don't want to play really Fiziev at all for the most part. I mean, the dude gets finishes, but they're late and they don't score well at all. And he is a favorite salary. Gamrot is a guy that, yes, has been chinned, but has never been finished. So even when Fiziev lands knockdowns, he's not scoring. Yeah, he did against Renato Moicano, but that's basically it. He landed a knockdown against RDA, like I mentioned. Didn't even pay off his salary, 86.5 points at 9K that week. So, yeah, I think almost all of the upside is on Gamrot, who should push an extremely heavy wrestling pace, grappling pace. He scores 8 points a minute, allows less than 1. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm completely fading Fiziev, but I definitely have a favorite pick here, and it is the underdog.
Yep, don't disagree with any of that. As I stall to get back, oh man, my StreamYard crapped out on me. But we're back, and we're talking Bryce Mitchell and Dan Ige in our co-main event. Mitchell is a minus 205 favorite. The comeback on Ige is plus 175. Mitchell is 8,800 on DK, and Ige is 7,400. Two guys who like to grapple. In theory, should be a good fight to target on DK, but is it? Monk, I'll take this for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to fade Bryce Mitchell, but I don't know if I
set you up, by the way. I'm totally setting you up on how I led you in there.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I can. I want to. He put up 124 against Barbosa, not a grappler, 112 against Feely, not a grappler, and 108 against Sales. The only grappler he's faced in his last 5 really is Charles Rosa, and he scored only 88 points there. So I kind of want to fade him. My point to telling you those 3 scores that are well over 100 points, let's see, how many wins does he have total? 6 in the UFC, so 3 of them over 100. He still carries a 91 points per win average. Do you know how low those other 3 scores have to be to carry a 91 average? So what are you going to get? What are you going to get with Bryce Mitchell? We have no idea. 8,800. The dude looked awful against Ilia Topuria. And maybe this guy's wrestling, dude, he got smashed. He landed no takedowns. He controlled less time than Topuria did,
he got a takedown in that fight.
He did land 4 more strikes. I'm looking at the wrong thing. He did get one takedown. He got knocked down. Yeah, he controlled 2% more grappling time and got outstruck. And he just didn't look good. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look like he wanted to be in there, especially in those 3 minutes of the second round. Dan Ige's tough as hell. Another guy that has yet to be finished in the UFC, has power as well. And man, if he stuffs a takedown or 2 from Mitchell, what is Mitchell going to look like? That's my whole thing. Like, I don't think Mitchell's going to take Ige down and just ride him for the entire 5 minutes of a round. I think Ige will be able to get back up and maybe pepper him a little bit, keep him away from him. So I just don't know. I like Ige at 7,400 way more than I like Mitchell at 88. So I might even be picking Ige outright. In fact, I may have done my notes a day early, and I may have already picked Dan Ige outright. So yeah, I'm going to be coming in under the field on Mitchell this week. I don't think he scores triple digits.
So partially agree, partially disagree. I am picking Bryce Mitchell to win this fight. I think Ilia Topuria makes a lot of people look worse than he made Bryce Mitchell look. Ilia Topuria is a problem at 145. Like, we'll be fighting Volkanovski, and I can't tell you I'm going to pick Topuria, but it's going to be the toughest fight Volk has had in a hot minute. That's going to be a rough fight. At his weight class, I'm not counting the Islam fight. Both guys want to grapple. This fight is like plus 170 to end inside the distance. The problem is when you get these high-level fights, they typically don't score well over 3 rounds. It's two guys, they're more technical, they're more methodical. Bryce Mitchell is, maybe he's a little bit gun-shy. They're both decent grapplers. Is there really going to be a ton of takedowns and scrambles? I think if there is, this is why I'm picking Bryce Mitchell. I think if there is more, what's each guy best at? I think each guy's better, best at wrestling, grappling. Who do I think is slightly better in that area? Eileen Bryce Mitchell. I think that's why the line is where it is. Ige, certainly a live dog. I'm going to mix in probably one of my primary dog plays on the card, but I can't pick him outright because I can't see him dominating top control against Bryce Mitchell. I see Bryce on top of him on the feet. I think Ige wins, but I'm not as confident as I am that Ige wins in the feet as I am that Mitchell wins on the ground. He probably does, but it's one of those. I'm not slamming Bryce Mitchell striking, which isn't, I'm not saying it's high quality, best striking in the UFC, clearly.
I don't think he likes to get hit either.
Right. The who likes to get hit? But he technically, let's see. Did he technically? No,
I'll rephrase. He reacts poorly to getting punched in the face.
He Malcolm Gordon's it.
Yeah.
I love watching. Malcolm Gordon gets hit once and fucking hates it.
Right.
It's just one of those things in the feet. He stood on the feet with Edson Barboza for what, a second? Does that count for anything? 11 minutes. But that fight went to decision, right? Technically, he was on the feet with Barboza for 3 minutes and 30 seconds for whatever that is worth. Look, I think Mitchell's got an extra path to victory here. I think the grappling's a little better. DraftKings mix in both, but I'd probably be, despite picking Mitchell, probably be under to Mitchell. Although I want to see ownership tomorrow, what we're projecting there, because that 8K range, a high 8K range, is a little bit crowded. So, long story short, Mitchell in his price range is a lower priority play than Ige is in his price range. Despite my straight pick for the fight. Moving on to a rematch. This was a main event. Oh, COVID. Marina Rodriguez minus 305. Michelle Waterson plus 255. I think this was during the COVID era. I'm pretty sure. Rodriguez 9,300.
Yeah, it's 2021.
Waterson 6,900. Should I just leave up the Michelle Waterson picture for a little while for all the simps out there? I mean, even if you're not a simp, fucking hot. But we move on. We digress. Michelle Waterson, if she wins this fight, it's going to be through the takedowns. I think it plays out a lot like I think one of the more outspoken people in fights. Rematches don't always go the same way as the first time. I kind of think this one does, unfortunately. Rodriguez is the better striker. Waterson's going to need to get this to the ground. She's improved there. I don't think it's enough. It's not her skill set. She has the fun karate style. It's a pretty clear 4-1 for Marina. I think this one does go the same way. I'm not going to overanalyze it. I will say, for those who, I don't think there's any value anywhere in the fight. I think the line's about right. Betting wise, not much interest. The DraftKings play, I think, is Waterson, because if she does win, again, more takedowns. There's not many dogs I'm picking outright, so I need to reach for a few that, I pick Gamrot, but let me look. Let me do the quick teaser here. All right, am I picking any other dog straight up? I might ruin the whole show, Monk.
I think I've got at least
Nope.
2 or 3 more.
Good,
Maybe.
you do, because Gamrot is the only dog I picked to win straight up. So I am reaching a little bit, or I need to reach a little bit for some of my DraftKings plays because you can't play all favorites. If
You
Waterson
could
wins,
last week.
yeah, if Waterson wins, it's takedowns, and at least in cash games, I don't think Maria's going to finish her. She couldn't last time, less rounds. You could punt her in cash games and pay up, so I'm fine with the play. The 9K range is hot garbage. You'll see that by who I'm going to recommend highly this week. And so, like, I guess you could mix in a little Marina. It's so bad, but I think there's actually better options up there. She's actually the lowest end of the hot garbage, which is impressive. So Rodriguez the pick, Waterson the better DK play, and probably even if you twisted my arm for a value bet, it's probably Waterson because women's MMA minus 305 juice. But I don't like it. I really don't. Monk, what do you got?
Yeah, I almost completely agree. The one part I'll push back on is I don't think you can roster Rodriguez at all. Instead of, you said just a little bit, I'd go further than that. Obviously, in GPPs, you can't put anyone at 0. And that
I mean, your options at
reinforced
9K. Your options at 9K are
Oh, it's
Jacob
bad.
Malkoun, Marina Rodriguez, Mizuki Inoue, who's not fought in forever, and Tamiris Vidal. That's your 9K range. Like, fuck.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to like 2 of them. I do like 2 of them, and one of them is not Rodriguez. She scores, like no points. We're at 83. A lot of fighters this week. You always hear me, how many DraftKings points per win? Well, we're at 80 on a lot of fighters, and both these fighters are at 80. 83 for Rodriguez, 88 for Waterson. And you said it exactly. I don't want to pay up for Rodriguez. Let's just look at the last fight. It was 5 rounds, as you mentioned. The salaries were $9,200 for Rodriguez, so now we're paying up 100 and down 100 for Michelle Waterson. So right about where it should be, probably. Marina, all 5 rounds, 85 points. She was taken down 1 time. She outstruck Gomez by 40 strikes, but she was outcontrolled 15% of the fight to 3%. So a bunch of nothing, basically. And she scored 85 points in 25 minutes. This one's only 15 minutes. Like you said, probably nothing changes. I'm picking Rodriguez, but the only DraftKings play for me is somehow Michelle Waterson Gomez. Simply put, like you said, because she is so cheap. And she actually does score well in her losses. Pinheiro, 33. 19 was Lemos. But before that, Rodriguez, she actually put up 50 against Rodriguez. Again, 5-round fight. Actually, I don't know who I was looking at before. Not Michelle Rodriguez. She just scores average. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I guess a little bit Michelle Waterson Gomez, but I'm not excited for this one. In fact, this is one of the fights I think you can fade overall compared to the rest of the card.
Get into a fight you cannot fade. Finally got, a fight projected to end inside the distance. It's Brian Battle, minus 185. Taking on AJ Fletcher at plus 160. Battle's an 8,700 on DK. Fletcher is 7,500. You never know what Brian Battle's going to show up in terms of physique, hairstyle, facial expression. Interesting guy overall. Taking on AJ Fletcher, who is just your blank UFC 4 avatar, apparently. Like that's who AJ Fletcher is. Monk, you're first for this one.
Yeah, in Battle, 2 of the most you don't, like you said, you don't know which battle's going to show up. He has 2 of the craziest, like, far spectrum nicknames I've ever heard. One is Pooh Bear, and then he switched to the Butcher for a little bit. Complete opposites. Now I think he's back to Pooh Bear. So we really don't know what's going on with Battle. And that's kind of how I'm going to play this one. I don't know. I want to say Battle. He scores very well, but you have to take into account that 2 of his 4 wins have come in the very first minute. So his scores are a bit skewed there. I'm really not expecting a third first minute finish. However, why wouldn't you play a guy that has scored 2 first minute finishes in his last 5 fights overall, maybe even less than that in his last 3 fights? So why wouldn't you play that guy? So there's kind of arguments for both. I'm definitely going to have both sides of this fight. I like Battle to win. I think overall the 10-inch reach, man, the 10-inch reach with any kind of fight IQ and striking ability is going to be incredibly difficult to overcome for AJ Fletcher, and his stats prove that. I mean, he barely scores 3 points a minute. 87 is what he put up in his, I believe, one UFC win, and that would have been against Temba Garimbo in his last fight. Took an L to Lusa and Semmelsberger. Looked decent for parts of those fights for sure. It's gonna be difficult for me to get away from Brian Battle just based on his stats and generally how he fights when he's on. Because if he's on, I like it. He's 4-1 in the UFC. His only loss is to Renat, who basically everyone I've heard talk about Renat thinks he is an up and coming welterweight and will eventually challenge for a top 5 ranking. So I consider that loss a strong loss, a good loss if there's such a thing, and I'm going to favor Brian Battle here, especially with that 10-inch reach advantage. My goodness. 3-inch height difference, 10 inches of reach.
Yeah, and it's to me what's concerning is you're like, yeah, AJ Fletcher looked decent some of the time. I don't like that's
Yeah, I was stretching for that.
We're looking for things. I don't
Yep.
think Fletcher's any good.
I was stretching longer than his arms for that one.
I know Battle has power. I'm gonna go there. Probably a GPP fight because I don't know how much I trust Brian Battle overall to do what he's supposed to. I mean, again, in this $8,700 range. I mean, there's one play coming up that I like a bunch, so we're gonna talk about that. So probably limiting that to GPP. I think he wins. Fletcher, I guess you can mix him in a little bit. Again, though, even in that range, even though I'm not picking some straight up dogs, there's others I like more. He's probably a secondary play for me at best. I think Battle is better striker, better power. I think we're really reaching on Fletcher here. I think the UFC knows exactly what they're doing, getting their tough winner a W here, and it's weird, bro. I think I said this in my notes. What's Brian Battle's UFC record? Because I think it's.
Let me just with a couple of clicks.
Yeah. After this win, fucking dude's gonna be 5-1 in the UFC.
5-1, yeah.
You telling me the UFC doesn't know exactly what they're doing? Yeah.
Yep.
For me, Brian Battle is the play.
Yeah, the UFC knows they need more young welterweights, and we got one coming up.
Colby Covington, future champ.
Yeah.
Today. Bring it, haters. This should be a fun fight, though. Should be no haters to this one. Charles Jourdain, -140, taking on Ricardo Ramos at +120. Jourdain's 8,300 on DK. Ramos is 7,900. Look, I like this fight a lot. I'm all about this fight. I actually have a pretty significant lean, obviously, towards the favorite here. See, obviously, because should have hinted that I'm not picking any more favorites. Look, for me, or any more dogs, I should say. For me, Ricardo Ramos is just there's not enough volume there. He lands like a little over 3 strikes a minute. I never know when he's gonna get flashed, knocked out, like Saeed Nurmagomedov, Lerone Murphy put him away. Like, okay, he's inconsistent. He needs to get takedowns in this fight. I don't think he's gonna go and do that. I know guys like Nathaniel Wood and even Shane Burgos took him down, but Ramos doesn't really shoot. He gets these clinch takedowns. I just think when he tries to close the distance, there's going to be problems in the clinch. There's going to be a lot of volume coming out here. And I think the volume is ultimately what's going to get to him and either lead to a decision. I don't think he can keep up volume-wise with Ramos. Or like I said, he randomly gets put away. I could see a Jourdain knockout here, just swarming Ramos. I think even if Ramos wins, I don't see a great path to a big number for him. I know Monk will break down the specific stats, but just I'm going to try and get ahead of myself, ahead of the argument here. He's got a submission win over Venata. Yeah, he's got a couple multiple knockouts. I'm looking at Jourdain. Hang on. Wrong UFC stats here. Let's see. If I look at Ramos, early submission win. Yeah, he's got some in here, I guess. But again, I think against Jourdain, he just gets out volumed. Maybe Jourdain forces a decent score out of him, but I just think, like I said, to recap, pace and pressure should be too much. I do like Jourdain. Clearly, I'm leaning that way for a bet as well. I think that's the value side in the fight. Monk, I peeked at your notes when I was looking at something else before, so I know I'm in for a disagreement here. So bring it on, big boy.
Yeah, I think you have to play both sides of this one. The numbers say Jourdain averages 102.5 points per win. He only scored 93 against Gracie, 92 against Venata, 91 against Ewell. So those bigger scores have come pretty deep into the past. By deep, I mean early 2021. Yeah, you led to it. 5 takedowns landed from Wood, 2 takedowns against Burgos there. Ramos is one path to victory, I think. Well, in this specific fight, is the takedown game for sure. I mean, the guy lands, where'd it go? 62% accurate, 62% takedown accuracy at 40 or 45. I'm already licking my chops, and we're at 62%, lands 2.73 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Jourdain gives up 4.5 points per minute inside the distance, 49% takedown defense, which is what I would call suboptimal or subpar. And he gives up over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes as well. Yeah, I think Ramos's path to victory scores more than Jourdain's for sure. And my one worry is what you mentioned, the flash knockout. That's always an issue with Ricardo Ramos here. But I'm willing to take that chance here. Jourdain does not have any KO, TKO victories in his last 5. What is it in the UFC? He does have 2 of them overall. 6 of his fights have gone to decision. Only 4 of them have ended in finish. While he is exciting, I just feel like he's not going to put up a decent score if this goes all 15 minutes. So I'll play him a little bit in case he does get the finish. But Ramos, man, I think this dude could look beastly if he's able to get takedowns. So give me some of both sides, but I prefer Ramos, and I think I picked him out right.
You did. That's why I knew the argument was coming.
Yep.
Moving on to Miles Johns taking on Dan Argueta. Johns is plus 155. The favorite Argueta is minus 185. Johns is 7,600. Argueta is 8,600. Some interesting stats here. I know for this one, Argueta, I guess for the lead, I'll tell you, should be very mad. He had a win against Ronnie Lawrence, and we all had I had Argueta. I had to play. And fucking whatever referee was,
strikes
oh
again.
my God, with some early submission being called. The fight was over. And yeah, not fun. So he should be mad. He should be hungry for a win. I think he's got a good matchup here. Monk, you're first for this one.
Yeah, he might have a good matchup here, but I don't think he's going to finish Miles Johns. And if he doesn't finish Miles Johns, I don't think he's going to score very well, probably at all, because no one scores well in Miles Johns fights, especially Miles Johns. Scores 71.92 points per win over 4 UFC wins. He only allows 85 per loss. He has been KO'd and he has been subbed. Kevin Nativi, nope, that's wrong. Castaneda, that's what it is. 3rd round sub. He only scored, what's that, like 75 points, something like that. Batista finished him in the 2nd round and walked away with only 87. So even when he is getting finished, no one is landing volume on Miles Johns. I just think that's his fight style. He slows everything down, and that could actually work in his favor, because if, like you said, Dan Argueta is coming out here mad and ready to get a win, and he doesn't get that win in the first 5 minutes, what's Daniel Argueta going to look like? So yeah, he looked good against some dude named Nick Aguirre, but this isn't Nick Aguirre. This dude has been Miles Johns, 6 fights in the UFC, very known as a durable guy, tough guy, and just kind of makes fights low volume. So I will, of course, play some of Dan Argueta, but I'll probably be under the field, to be completely honest. And Miles Johns, I don't mind a little bit of play on him in cash games if you're looking for some relief, but even then, he's a bit too expensive for that. Like I said, he averages 72 points per win, so maybe just kind of go keep your expectations low for Johns. But the point of that whole thing is to say that I'll probably be under for Dan Argueta, especially because everyone loves him so much. He's going to be very highly owned.
I will add to the love. I will do it for all of us. Look, Argueta, you could say, I mean, he didn't get smashed in the 3rd round against Damon Jackson. Like, I think he lost the round, but his striking was about even. He had a minute of control time. Jackson had 2. Like, he wasn't doing nothing in that round, if I remember right. Didn't get to, look good against Nick Aguirre, like he said. Didn't get to one against Ronnie Lawrence. Look, the reason everybody loves Dan Argueta, he's big, he is physical, he is aggressive, and he wants to wrestle. I know Miles Johns got 92% takedown defense, but man, the names of Richie Santiago, Cole Smith, Mario Batista, Kevin Notvedad, Anderson Dos Santos, John Castaneda, Vince Morales. Okay. Whereas against Vince Morales, by the way, Miles Johns was 1 for 12 shooting takedowns. When you do that against Dan Argueta, you're going to have a problem. You're going to end up on top of you, and he's going to smash your fucking head in. I will say that if Johns can slow it down, I don't think he can, but if he can, maybe he can win this fight on the feet, because Argueta with his build, he's going to slow down a little bit. Maybe Johns wins a striking match. Again, I think smaller cage, the pace, the pressure, the wrestling, the aggression. I don't think Miles Johns can stand up to it for 7.5 minutes. We saw Castaneda finish him. We saw Mario Batista finish him. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with it. So I do like Dan Argueta for those reasons. I think there's a little bit of value there betting wise. I think that DraftKings, I think even though you may be picking Johns or anybody who is picking Johns, you have to admit that Argueta's got more upside. His past victories score higher than Miles Johns. So,
oh yeah,
and I'm picking him to begin with. Dan Argueta is one of my favorite players on the card, but he's going to be very high owned. So yeah, because of my limited underdog selection, I'm gonna have to go with the favorite for a kill shot, but an under-owned favorite. I think I have one in mind. I think I'm gonna know where I'm gonna go. It's clearly not here. Gamrot's not a kill shot. That does not qualify.
No.
So I have one in mind that we'll see how that goes later. But for this fight, Argueta is the move for me. Now we got the Dirty Bird, Tim Means. He is taking on Andre Fialho. Means is plus 145. Fialho's minus 175. Means is 7,300. Fialho is 8,900. So this one's actually pretty easy to break down, at least in my mind. Fialho is going to come out and try and fucking murder Tim Means. And then if Tim Means can survive the first 5 minutes, Fialho will probably curl into the fetal position and Means will smash him out. This gets more complicated because Means is about 53 years old. Both these guys are, what are the losing streaks exactly? I know they're both on losing streaks. Fialho has lost three.
They're both at 3.
Both at 3. No, thank you. I will say, while Tim Means is being finished, he is being submitted. He is not being knocked out, although Max Griffin knocked him down, which is really concerning. Whereas Fialho is knocked out in 3 straight fights. Like, Fialho has only seen the judges' scorecards once, and that was against the zombie Michel Pereira. Although, let the fight Pereira was dicking around instead of finishing Fialho.
Yeah,
kind of sounds right. Yeah. So you think we're going to see a finish here? I lean towards Fialho to get the finish because of durability issues. Again, I don't see Means being as quick technically. I don't think he's going to react to a shot, and I think he gets hurt and finished. But if he doesn't, Means the primary DraftKings GPP dog, because if he gets through the first round, I think he probably wins in the second. I think Means will throw enough volume out there. Looking at his the numbers for his volume, which I wanted to peek at quickly. Yeah, he averages almost 5 significant strikes a minute. He can mix in a takedown. I don't think he's going to in this fight, but this fight smells like points. It's one of the ones I want to target. I think Fialho finishes, but there's plenty upside in the dog Means as well. Make me make a pick. It is Fialho. Monk, how about for you?
Yeah, also a fight I'm going to be targeting, but Fialho sucks. Fialho's not good. He's just not. Like, and I don't mean any disrespect to Derek Lewis, because Derek Lewis
is behind you.
Way better than Andre Fialho. But Andre Fialho is the Derek Lewis of the welterweight division. If he does not get a first-round knockout,
big difference. That is 95 pounds.
He is not he's not paying off any kind of win if he's not getting a first-round finish. In fact, he's probably not getting a win if he doesn't get a first-round finish.
But yeah, that's the only way he does win. So,
but he scores less than 2 points a minute. Doesn't do anything of note except land that one shot. So I guess I have to play him. I hate playing guys like this. I really honestly do. I guess I've come around on Justin Taffa, but Justin Taffa used to be one for me. Even Derek Lewis, because it's like, all right, so what if the 30% thing happens? Then yay, I score 112, 115 points. Well, what about the other 70% of the time when this gets out of the first round? Then what? Then I'm fucked for 70% of the time. So I tend to hate playing guys like this, especially ones that suck, like Andre Fialho. Tim Means might be old. He might be not as powerful, but he doesn't suck. Even though he has lost 3 in a row, he hasn't gotten knocked out 3 times in a row. So yeah, I also like Means as a dog here. yes, he could easily get slept in the first round. He's got a 39-year-old chin. But if that doesn't happen, then Fialho's going to lose, and Tim Means will likely pay off his very cheap salary of $7,300. So I like Means. I'm probably picked him overall just because I don't like Fialho. And like I said, Fialho sucks.
I wish I could pay for him to be right behind you. Be great. It'd be the best part of this pod or any podcast this week.
Right.
Moving on, we're going to talk about Jacob Malkoun taking on Cody Brundage. Malkoun is minus 700, Brundage plus 500, 95 fucking hundred for Jacob Malkoun. That hurts my soul. Cody Brundage, who needs a win or his ass is getting cut, he's down at 6,700. Monk, you're first for this fight.
I'm glad you said that because I was also perusing the notes earlier. Why does everyone, not by everyone, I mean the couple of people I've heard, say that it hurts their soul, to paraphrase you, to play Malkoun at 9,500? Why? Why do you not want to play him at 9,500?
Because Jacob Malkoun, especially when he first came into the UFC, remember how he looked against Phil Hawes? He didn't land a
his
strike.
First UFC fight.
He scored 0, right? And I'm thinking, all right, and just he's a guy who I'm pretty sure, I mean, he's proved me wrong now, but I was pretty sure he got into the UFC because he was Robert Whittaker's boy. And you're like, and then he goes out and he gets fucking smashed. And you're like, here we go. Favorite of the UFC guy. Great. Here it is. I didn't think he was any good. And then he beats Abdul Razak Al Hassan, where he just wrestle fucks him. And you're like, well, all right, smart game plan against Al Hassan. Is he really that good? Al Hassan cannot stop a takedown. I didn't know he was Australian Habib. I thought that was just desperation fucking going after him for a round. Then you get to AJ Dobson. And the AJ Dobson fight is the one where I go, maybe this guy doesn't suck ass. This is concerning. And then he got a bunch of takedowns against Malkoun, against Allen. That was a really close fight. I will say, in my mind, he's still 2-2 in the UFC because Nick Maximoff, speaking of favors, should be nowhere near the UFC. Like initially I saw Maximoff and I was like, oh, submission guy, Nick Diaz guy, super tough. Fought like 3 weight classes up on Contender Series, fine. And then he gets in there and you're like, this guy's not so good. Maybe a great guy, but I don't even know that because Diaz brothers. But
yeah, I was just wondering because the Phil Hawes, because it goes either way. It's like, oh, he lost to Phil Hawes, but then that same, I'm not saying you, I'm saying, but that same person would also take a different fighter and go, oh, but that's it. That was his debut fight. There's nerves in there, and so you can kind of play that both ways. But since then,
my bias is that I just don't think he's, in general, I've never thought he's that good, and he keeps outperforming and trying to be Australian again, Habib, and it's working for him. Props to him. He's winning in fights in the UFC.
It's working for me too, because since that fight, this dude has literally done nothing except for pay off his salary in exorbitant ways. 16.5 average value, 125 average win. When he beat Razak Al Hassan, he was 6,900, 114.5 points, 16.5 value. Beat AJ Dobson, he was 8,200, 129.5. Yeah. Beat Nick Maximoff at a dog price, 131. Crazy. 131.
It's just playing a guy who I initially thought what his talent level was, and now at 9,500, the most expensive fighter on a card. It's like,
yep, and every number says he's worth it. In fact, even in the Brendan Allen loss, which has done nothing except age incredibly well, as fair. Brendan Allen is now about to fight Paul Craig in a ranked fight, he was $7,200, very low underdog. Should have won that fight. In fact, the stats say he did, and he scored 67 points. He almost 10x'd in a loss. So this dude, outside of the Hawes fight, has done nothing but pay off his salary. And I think we paid $9,600 for Raul Rosas Jr. last week. Yeah, he had a clear first round path to victory, that dude hasn't performed nearly as close as to what Jacob Malkoun has performed as. And we had nobody said last week, except for me, and I was wrong, that he was overpriced. So yeah, I think Cody Brundage, to sum up, is dangerous early, but I also think, much like Andre Fialho, Cody Brundage sucks, and that Malkoun can probably wrestle fuck this dude, land multiple takedowns, and score incredibly well in a decision, because that's just what he does. So yeah, I'll gladly put Malkoun in, and I'm hoping everybody, not just you. I don't mean to sound like I read a couple other people's stuff, and then people on
I'm
Twitter,
still going to play him.
and then people. Oh yeah, I'm just hoping that a lot of people think he's overpriced, and so I'm going to have huge potential value there.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately going to. I just don't like that I have to, but I do for the exact reasons you said. Cody Brundage. This is a tough fight for him, especially for 1-2.
He got manhandled by Cedric Dumas.
Yeah,
that's all you have to say.
That's a problem, and he didn't want to be there at the end of that fight. So exactly what you said. That's just, it's going to be a problem. Malkoun's going to take him down, and just even if he doesn't right away, he's just going to wear on him and keep going for it.
As long as he doesn't get guillotined in the first round, that's the only way Malkoun loses, is if he gets guillotined.
Yep, and it is possible the way.
And that's how he was going to lose to what's his name in the last fight. So I am kind of scared about that.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much dead on. I think we covered this one pretty well. It's just a conversation back and forth. There's no. You're going to pay for him? I will not pay -700. No, fuck you,
that's
buddy.
A different story.
go eat my butt. I would, and I don't know what I would bet in that fight. Do things on TikTok sometimes where my favorite bet of each fight. I'm not going to play him. Just if I had to bet in this fight, where would I go? I'm not taking that line. I'm not taking the stab on Brundage. The over/under feels dicey because Brundage almost quit last time out. I would probably lean towards the over. Would probably be the play.
That's where I was at my head. But you're not getting a good number. I guarantee it.
It's the number.
They're on to that.
See, I don't know. I don't think it's ridiculous. Malkoun, Brundage, over 2.5 rounds to pick them.
Wow. Man, they must think. Well, yeah, okay. I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I tend to think
you got Oleg Jacek put away Brundage. Vieira put away Brundage on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He got knocked out by William Knight on Contender Series.
And if Cedric was any good, he probably would have finished Cody as well. So,
and Brundage only passed the victory is a finish early. He finished Trayshawn and Dalcha. So I guess that's why. But just like you, I'm not a fan of that one.
No.
Let's move on. Let's talk about this fight. Let's talk about Jake Collier. I don't know, making him French. It's not Benoit Saint Denis.
Collier.
Jake Collier, plus 120. Usman's minus 140. Collier's 7,800. Usman is 8,400. Collier is going to have the volume advantage. He is going to have the hand speed advantage. He is not going to have the advantage in terms of wrestling, and not going to have the advantage in terms of punching power, and not going to have the advantage in terms of being an actual fucking heavyweight.
Thank you.
Like, what are we doing? We're still talking about this? I make fun of I poke playful jabs at Kelvin Gastelum. I should probably stop because Jake Collier looks like he ate Kelvin Gastelum. And look, me and Monk, we're sitting here talking about fights. Where I once upon a time ran triathlons, but I'm not that guy anymore. I eat pizza. I'm not in good shape. So it is what it is, but I'm also not a professional athlete. So, and I know he would beat the ever-living shit out of me. But if you're trying to be competitive and I'm analyzing fights, I'm like, dude, you're not a heavyweight. I can't pick you in a heavyweight fight. Like all Usman has to do is take him down, which I think he can, get on top of him, and he probably beats the snot out of him and gets him out of there. I think there's some value in the Usman line, quite honestly, and that is disturbing to say. The problem is Usman throws like nothing on the feet, and he's not exciting on the ground. It doesn't mean I don't think he's going to win the fight. It may not be fun to watch, but I mean, Jake Collier's got 67% takedown defense. A lot of his career is at middleweight, so I don't know exactly what to make of that. I think Usman's got more paths to victory in terms of he can land a big punch, he can get takedowns. Collier's just got to keep this at range, stay mobile, and volume him for 3 rounds. And even then, I don't think that scores particularly well. So give me Muhammad Usman. It's not the best feeling in the world because Usman doesn't have volume, but I can't pick Jake Collier in a UFC heavyweight fight. I just can't do it. And by the way, Jake Collier has lost to he's lost. Let's see. The last time we saw him, his UFC heavyweight wins.
Say everyone except for Chase Sherman.
Chase Sherman and John Belante, who was a light heavyweight who was done with his life at that point. I'm a Long Island guy, but John was, I mean, you don't want to be there. Lost to Aspinall. I mean, okay, Aspinall.
Got finished by Chris Barnett.
Yeah, lost to Philippe. Gave away the fight against Barnett. Lost to Boudet. Like, Usman's the play here, and if Collier burns me, so be it. What do you got, Monk?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen. I'm glad we're completely on the same side here, and I don't know if you've seen as many people as I have backing Collier and talking about.
I haven't watched anybody yet.
Dude,
I peeked at our notes, but
on Twitter, it is like it's
really?
all I'm seeing. Oh yeah,
because I got to clip what I just did and post it.
Usman's terrible, and that's what they say. And it's like, okay, while I might not disagree with you, what the fuck about Collier isn't terrible? This dude is awful, and he's 1-4.
His appetite.
Yeah, he's 1-4 in his last 5. Usman, say what you want, he's at least winning fights in the UFC, which is not something Collier is doing unless you put him up against Chase Sherman, apparently. But yeah, I don't want any part of Collier. What are the salaries here? 84, and you have to pay $7,800 for Jake Collier.
American dollars.
I guess you're saving money. His average salary since 2021 is $8,200 somehow. But he's only getting worse. I mean, and I don't want to hear the argument. Have you seen his Instagram? He looks like he's 220. Okay, so he's got shit fight IQ as well. Because why would you drop all this weight when you're going up against a dude that looks and fights like Muhammad Usman, who has gigantic power if he connects, or can just lay on you and take you down, and now you're 20, 30, 40 pounds less than you usually weigh in at. So I think this dude is this is a theme. This guy sucks, just like Fialho and just like Brundage, whoever else I said. I'm talking shit about guys that would all kick my ass, but that's fine. Collier's not good. Collier is not good. So give me Usman. This is going to be a shit show fight. Could Collier do something to Usman? I guess maybe, but I'm not going to be heavy on Collier like I've heard a lot of other people. I'm looking for dogs elsewhere, and I think Usman could just the stalling. Okay, so he's just going to take him down multiple times then. Like all he has to do is grab him, and Jay Collier's going to the ground. So give me Usman for the win. I guess a little in GPPs for both sides, but I don't like anything about Jay Collier.
Well said.
Thank you.
Let's talk Mizuke Inoue. Minus 325. Taking on Hannah Goldy at plus 275. Inoue is 9,200. Goldy is 7,000. I know who you're picking in this fight because it is one that like I said, I haven't watched or listened to anybody else, but I peeked at our notes a little bit ago, so I saw the play. I'm going to again set a trap. I'm gonna pothole you before you even start, because to me, the only good argument for Hannah Goldy is that Mizuki Inoue has not fought in however long. Outside of that, I have a really hard time. Do you see anything else, or did I nail what you're thinking?
No. Once again, Goldy sucks. A lot of these fighters suck, man. Goldy sucks. She should not be in the UFC. I don't know what's happening right now. 1-3.
Oh, you picked Mizuki. Sorry, somebody else.
I did not. I was wondering. I was like, I did not pick Hannah Goldy.
Somebody else on staff picked Hannah Goldy.
Yikes. Well, if that happens, good on you, but never would I do that. What I would also likely never do is pay $9,200 for someone who hasn't fought in 3 years. And when she did get her last win, she scored 70 points. So yeah, not too interested in that really at all. I mean, Goldie's a lot of things. Shitty fighter is one of them. But I guess she has been TKO'd once in the UFC, but the other two UFC
fighters are going to show up at our house.
I know. I hope they don't know where I live. Hope they don't have that technology. But I'll end up on the new Beat Up a Bully or whatever show that was. But bottom line is Mizuki. We'll talk about her in a second. But I guess if I'm in the 9K range, there's 4 fighters. I'm on Malkoun, and I'm on another 9K fighter that we haven't talked about. So there you go. I'm fading Rodriguez for the reasons I already mentioned. And Mizuki probably has to fit in that category just because I don't know what she's going to do and the extremely long layoff. And when she did perform last, like I said, She scored 70 points against a terrible UFC, actually not even in the UFC anymore, I believe, Wu Yanan. I last saw her before Li Jinglang fought. He was on one of the UFC embeddeds, and Wu Yanan was there helping him, like just hanging out. I guess they're friends. And it did not say Wu Yanan UFC fighter. It said friend of Li Jinglang, Wu Yanan. So yeah, that's who she beat. Give me Inoue for the win, but this fight sucks for DraftKings. So hopefully we don't have a Marnik Man situation on our hands.
Oh God. Look, you should all join DFS Army. A lot of good stuff in there. Cheat sheets, domination station, which is and there's also, I have a VIP article where I rank fights to target for DraftKings. We don't go fight breakdowns like here. We just talk what fight should you target. I bring that up, which by the way, links are in the description to join. Got tons of codes and all that good shit. But the reason I bring it up, shameless plug, is that pretty much once a week, I write the words, fuck this fight. This was the one. Fuck this fight.
Yep.
Like, I don't see Hannah Goldy winning. Mizuki Inoue is just going to piece her up on the feet probably. How the fuck does she pay off this salary? Like, Mizuki wins. I mean, what is Mizuki Inoue to win via decision? What is that line? That is like the only spot I could even think.
It's be like
maybe
minus 450.
Well, she's only minus 350 to win the fight, so that would be
okay.
Some bad
minus
pricing.
350.
Nah. Let's see. Inoue round 1 plus 475. You want that number? What the fuck is Inoue via decision? Inoue wins in round 3 or decision is minus 157.
Wow.
I don't hate that one. Yeah, go with that.
I guess.
Oh, there it is. Inoue wins by decision, depending on your book, minus 120 to minus 130.
These people actually think she's, I guess. I mean, Hannah Goldy does suck.
So,
I guess.
I guess that's where I would go. But yeah, give me Mizuki in a way. And we spent a lot of time.
You're
on
not
this
talking
fight.
me into a bet on this fight. I swear to God.
Or did I? Dun, dun, dun.
Check myself in.
Here we go. This is the 9K fighter outside of Malkoun. Everybody wants to talk about Tamiris Vidal minus 220, Montserrat Rendon plus 185. DraftKings Vidal is 9,000. Rendon is 7,200 with some interesting tattoo choices. I do like ink in general, but a lot of black on the arm there. Look, this card, I said at the start, this card's a banger in terms of great fights. On DraftKings, I'm struggling a little bit because my second favorite fighter in the 9K range is Tamiris Vidal. Why is that a problem, Sniper? Well, she's had one fight in the UFC where she knocked out Ramona Pascual, and she overall in her career is 7-1. And she's taking on Montserrat Rendon, who's 5-0. This is a low-level shit show fight. Break it down in that I like Vidal because she is aggressive. She looks a little better. I think the aggression, pace, pressure. I think she probably finds a finish. But it's hard to feel confident about that in a women's MMA fight because we've seen this year they're more volatile in general. And 2, a low-level fight. It's both of those things that represent volatility. Shit, I got to attack both of those. But I gave the breakdown. I do think Vidal is better. The aggression should be there. I think she scores decent. I will not fade Rendon, even if I don't think she's very good, because this fight it's the type of fight that burns people every week. It's women, it's low level, it's the curtain jerker. Yeah, I'm not going to let Rendon. I'm not saying go over the weight on, go over the field on Rendon. I'm going to probably find ownership and bitch this one out. And I will not let this end my night. I may be in trouble at 10% or whatever the ownership is, but I will not be dead. Fuck that. So, Vidal's the play there for those reasons. What do you got, Monk?
Yeah, I pretty much completely agree. Not to mention her again because it really does hurt. But Marnik Man came in about 10-11% last week. So yeah, Rendon will probably be a little bit more than that if I had to guess, but probably not over 15. Let's just look. Bear with me here because I don't really have a ton to break down. You said it best. My pick is Vidal. Hopefully she gets a finish, but we don't know that. And Vidal has looked terrible in some of her tape. I already said I like Malkoun. Marina I hate at 93. This is from top to bottom. Inoue, I'm not playing. Fialho, I said sucks. Mitchell, I said I was under.
You got to play Fialho, see?
Yeah, I got to play Fialho, but he does suck. Battle, I said I liked. Argueta, I like some, but I said I'd probably be under. Fiziev, I said under. Usman, Jourdain, meh. There's no this fight. This card is awful for DraftKings. It's not awful. That's the wrong word. It's going to be difficult for me to assemble certain, especially cash lineups. So I guess I'm kind of forced into playing Malkoun / Vidal in several lineups. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with, I mean, hopefully the winning salary is like 48,000 because that's where I'm going to be if I had it, exactly the way I wanted. So I like Vidal 9K. I guess I'll take my chance here. Hopefully she finishes Rendon and we can start our night off well. But like you said, you cannot fade to zero anybody, especially in a low level women's bantamweight fight. And by low level, that's being generous. Very, very bottom of the barrel. So play both sides. I like Vidal though, and I think her path probably scores pretty well if she gets a finish.
Kill shots. Let's talk kill shots. If you're unfamiliar with kill shots, welcome to the podcast. And even if you are, everybody hit that like button before we give these out. Appreciate that. Kill shot is someone that is going to be under owned who can break the slate. So we can't give out. I mean, typically the main event is not going to count here. High price fighters like Dan Argueta seems to be pretty popular, so I can't go with him, even though I do like him. Typically they're underdogs, but the only underdog I picked straight up was Mateus Gamrot. That does not count. So I have to reach for a lower owned spot. I'm going to go second because I think it's going to be a more unique one. You got tons of dogs to pick from. Monk, who's your kill shot for this week?
Man, honestly, it's tough because really Gamrot, I'm kind of forcing the issue on some of these other ones. Really, Gamrot's the only one I really, really like. So I guess I'm going to have to pick.
You're going to say Tim Means.
That's one of them. Okay. You know what? I'll go with it. Tim Means.
That's who I thought you were going to say. I'm not twisting your arm into it.
No, I'll pick it because I can't decide and I don't want to sit here and waffle back and forth. So I'll tell you what the other one was after you go, but it should be kind of obvious. Tim Means at 73. I mean, we already talked about it. Fialho sucks, and I hope he's not. Now you got me looking over my shoulders here. Yeah, Tim Means for all the reasons I mentioned. He's very cheap this week. He'll probably be relatively low owned, but at 11 fights, 22 fighters, relatively low owned turns into like 20%. So just keep that in mind. But I'll go with Tim Means for a kill shot here. Hopefully we get out of the first round. What if he gets a finish at 39 years old? That would be fantastic.
So my kill shot, I'm glad you meant it solidified it in my mind. I was already kind of leaning this way, but you said everybody loves Jake Collier, and I went, oh, fucking this seals it. Muhammad Usman is my kill shot. Like I'm going against the grain. Sweet, like it even more. I've eaten shit plenty of times. I will continue to eat shit, but I'll have, I think, more good calls. But this week, for me, I'll pick the guy who's actually a heavyweight. And you don't think the UFC wants to build Muhammad Usman?
Right?
Like,
he could be the one good Usman. He's the only one that's been winning lately.
Dude, did you
I'm just kidding. I like Kamaru a lot.
Kamaru, it was still Dana White doing this promo stuff called Kamaru Usman the greatest welterweight champion of all time.
What? That's pretty chock full of recency bias.
Yeah. I'd like to see at that point in the video is when he was announcing the current welterweight fight and the John Jones fight.
That's a wild at that thing point, to say.
I would have loved to seen GSP come out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, just cut the mic.
Like,
dude,
but
insane.
It is that just is. I mean, that's just promotion. That's
true.
No big deal. But you happen to mention it, and people are saying Usman sucks. I'm like, really?
No, he does not suck.
Is a champion on the decline? Was he exciting? No, he's a champion. He's on the decline.
Yep.
See Israel Adesanya.
Yep.
So now that I got that,
my other one was Ige. That was the other one I was my
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's what we got for UFC Vegas 79. Guys, we're going to see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy your week off, whatever you're doing. Enjoy the contest this week. Make sure you joined up at DFS Army. Message me in the Discord for any advice. We're going to be watching fights. I'm going to be at a casino tomorrow night, which will be interesting.
What's your game of choice?
Gambling.
Blackjack guy? Oh, nice. Good answer.
It's a craps table's cold. Let's go play
poker.
blackjack.
I don't give a shit.
No, I mean, some of the multi-hand things are fun. It's mostly craps, blackjack, baccarat.
Table games.
Yeah, table games for the most part. But I'm gonna miss some of the fights because I'm going. We have tickets to go see Penn and Teller tomorrow night. So
that'll be fun.
I will be in there. I will be in chat though, but I'll be a little bit in and out. But for the main event, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be by a TV. or my phone, whatever it may be. I hope you guys enjoy the fights, whatever you are doing. One more time, enjoy your day off, your week off. I know I keep asking, but the views last week, guys, were disappointing. Share this with your friends. Hit the like button for us. I got to start growing this podcast. Why are all these guys doing more than us? I'm funnier than those motherfuckers.
We got to keep the ball rolling until UFC 300's right around the corner.
I won't say I'm better looking because I'm sorry, you guys have to look at this. I got to get better graphics. I will work on that for you guys. So smash that like button. Enjoy your week. That's it for UFC Vegas 79. For me and Monk, have a good week. See you next time.